Trump just pissed off every raging rioter with what he did overnight to protect U.S. monuments. Don't cancel your trip of historical monuments just yet. The wild-eyed liberal hordes might not have won as much as they think they did. The enraged Antifa and BLM crowd was sent into a fit of passion over the weekend when they got played at their own game by the other end of the racist spectrum and a riot broke out. All of these rioters, outright and out-left, were clearly in the wrong for inciting and participating in violence, but that doesn't keep Antifa from claiming that they're the victims. And since the neo-Nazis had the gall to start this round of crazy, the left is going to make us all pay for their crimes. The most obvious of which being that KKK wannabes daring to take over BLM's preferred means of political change. Because they are so upset, they decided to expand their purview and try to banish the memory of every historical figure who was in any way involved in keeping slaves. And since that was pretty much everybody involved in founding the country, we basically have a bunch of welfare recipients trying to erase several hundred years of history. Thanks to the hard work that the MAGA crowd did last November, President Trump was able to stand up and in essence say not on my watch. No matter how intense the pressure from those on the left, President Trump has decided that he's not going to let these bullies and thugs chip away at the memory of those who founded our great nation, and we thank him for that. Via Daily Caller. The Interior Department won't be removing monuments to Confederate soldiers at national battlefields that are an important part of our country's history, according to a spokesman. The National Park Service is committed to safeguarding these memorials while simultaneously educating visitors holistically and objectively about the actions, motivations and causes of the soldiers and states they commemorate, spokesman Jeremy Barnum told D&D News. National park statements come after a woman was killed counter-protesting a white supremacist rally in Charlottesville, Virginia. The city voted to remove a statue of Confederate General Robert E. Lee. A man driving a Dodge Challenger drove into a crowd of counter-protesters, killing one and injuring 19 others. That man, 20-year-old James Alex Fields, has been charged with second-degree murder. The incident has only spurred the movement to remove Confederate monuments and rename schools, buildings and highways that had been named after Confederate politicians and generals. President Donald Trump stoked the controversy even more by not explicitly calling out white supremacist groups in his initial condemnation of Saturday's violent clash. Trump issued a more forceful follow-up statement, but got into a fight with reporters at a news conference Tuesday. George Washington as a slave owner, Trump said. So will George Washington now lose his status? Are we going to take down statues to George Washington? How about Thomas Jefferson? Are we going to take down his statue because he was a major slave owner? Are we going to take down his statue? Trump said. While I don't like to criticize the president for saying something that I agree with, I kind of think it was a mistake to phrase that business about George Washington that way. It seems like every time someone tells a liberal, well, if you're going to be this ridiculous, why not just go all the way? A snowflake says, don't mind if I do. It's almost like they're saying, oh, you think we can't be that dumb? Here, hold my beer. Maybe we shouldn't dare them to do these things because they obviously have zero inhibitions. D.C. Interior Secretary Ryan Zink said he supports Trump in uniting our communities and prosecuting the criminals to the fullest extent of the law. The racism, bigotry and hate perpetrated by violent white supremacist groups has no place in America, Zink told D&D News. It does not represent what I spent 23 years defending in the United States military and what millions of people around the globe have died for. We must respond to hate with love, unity and justice. The National Park Service maintains numerous monuments to Confederate soldiers at battlefield sites across the country. For example, Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, has 12 monuments to Confederate soldiers. The Battle of Antietam, which took place near Sharpsburg, MD, in 1862, has 6 Confederate monuments. A Gettysburg National Military Park spokeswoman told the Evening Sun Wednesday they were not removing Confederate monuments to those who fought at the Battle of Gettysburg in 1863. These memorials, erected predominantly in the early and mid-20th century, are an important part of the cultural landscape, Katie Lawhon said. Zink told reporters in July that battlefield monuments were worth preserving for their historical value. Don't rewrite history, Zink said. Antietam National Battlefield. Understand it for what it is and teach our kids the importance of looking at our magnificent history as a country and why we are what we are. The short and long of this is that the lawbreakers keep threatening things that Americans hold dear, whether that be our right to own firearms or our historical monuments, and somebody has to stand between this mob and them bullying us into whatever they want for that day. If we don't stop them now, there's no telling when they'll stop. President Trump seems to have made up his mind to do the right thing for the law-abiding citizens, no matter the repercussions. People are going to hate him for it, but the majority of us who hold down jobs and vote are going to see that he's just trying to retain order and fulfill his promise to make America great again. Thank you for watching this video. What do you think about this? Share this on Facebook and Twitter along with your comments.